You are now tuned in to 710 Radio. We are the newest and hottest independent radio station in Colorado and on the internet. The fans named the station. With over 1 million visitors and over 10 million hits. Oh yeah, our website is going bananas. We are the newest and the hottest. This is 710 Radio. 24/7 radio. Stay tuned and tell a friend. The Dabber's Choice. With hot shows 7 days a week.
Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now my whole team fucking here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now the whole team.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another show. This week on 710 Radio, Rick's Journey Through the Marijuana World. And I am your host, Rick Wainwright. So what's up? How are we all doing? I hope we all had a good holiday season. 2017 is almost upon us. And, you know, I have some interesting stories that I think are worth talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and get right to it. And this first story that I'm going to be talking about comes from marijuanatimes.org. The story is by Nick Phillips, and the article title is "An Experiment of the Free Market is Taking Place in Colorado." So what better time to explore the free market economics than right now in Colorado? We are watching the growth and maturity of the commodity cannabis taking shape at lightning speed. In the, in quotation marks, free market of Colorado, major investment money continues to flood in. Production is on overdrive. Giants are emerging using economies of scale, and many are foreshadowing a future economists call oligopoly. It's kind of like a monopoly, because this is me talking now, this is not the article, but an oligopoly is kind of like a monopoly, but it is run by certain individuals. And I am looking up oligopoly, according to Google Translation, is it's a noun, and it's a state of limited competition in which a market is shared by a small number of producers or sellers. Now, I do not call that a free market, but hey, that's just my 2 cents right there. In 2 years, the price per pound for wholesale flower has dropped by 2/3. The days of the 4,000 wholesale pound or the $499 ounces are gone, and business owners are being forced to accept the fact that it is never coming back. What market factors are creating such volatility? Well, last week, the University of Denver released a report by Assistant Professor Paul Seaborn on the Daniels College of Business. Notable findings inside the report include: the Colorado Marijuana Enforcement Division has issued nearly 3,000 total marijuana business licenses, an increase of 70% from 2014. As of January 2016, retail marijuana products manufacturing licenses insurance is up 40%, from 168 licenses to 236. Retail marijuana cultivation facilities are up 22%, from 514 licenses to 625. The city and county of Denver have over 1/3 of the state's active marijuana licenses at 1,244. The largest license holders in the state operating under a single name are Native Roots, 62, Livewell has 49, and Sweet Leaf have 34. Wow. The data appears to indicate that the increase in cultivation facility licenses over the past year could be fueling the supply and demand dilemma many in the region attribute to the problem. Many business owners concerned about managing their operations on such a tight profit margins are starting to point fingers at the municipalities for potentially issuing too many licenses without instituting canopy restrictions. Possible evidence of this comes from the city of Denver, who narrowly passed Bill 16-0291, capping the total number of marijuana licenses to 467, but was it too late? People are sitting on pounds of high-quality product because they can't cover the cost. In some situations, at the current cost per pound, describes Tim Cullen, CEO of Colorado Harvest Company, many grows, especially indoor grows, have high operating costs associated with them. It is tough to compete in this market with outdoor farms who have learned how to scale operations for 30 acres worth of equally high-quality product. When an indoor production tries to compete with an outdoor facility, it will always cost more to run that indoor facility. The report shows some interesting findings, especially when one looks at the largest license holders. In order to maintain optimal margins, cultivators are being forced to obtain more licenses to achieve economies of scale and diversify their sales with products that make for better profit margins, like extracts and edibles. Integrated retail shops are being forced to push everything but flower in order to cover the cost to grow the flower. Another key data point that possibly confirms this is the 40% spike in manufacturing licenses issued over the past year. The data indicates that the need to diversify. The interesting part about that is how literally the state decided to issue these permits. Will the new supply inversely affect future prices on wholesale trim, extracts, and oils as the markets get flooded, as we have seen with the flower market over the past 2 years? So what is a company to do? The free market, that one's not in between quotation marks, and it should be, appears to be forcing everyone to innovate or get out of the way. This holds most true for retail shops with small to medium-sized indoor grow operations. Many companies are achieving success in meeting their margins by investing in branding and being creative and focusing on their overall retail customer experience. Packaging and branding have never been more important in this industry, said Jacob Colchin, managing director of the Denver-based Chieftain Designs. The bottom line is when you fight for shelf space in a market that is competitive, you must stand above the crowd and be remembered. We work tirelessly to help our clients achieve these goals. Jacob founded Chieftain Supply Company, a cannabis-oriented apparel company for the new cannabis consumer market in 2015. Following the company's success, he established Chieftain Designs, a cannabis branding and design agency, in 2016. Companies that were familiar with our apparel line wanted the same level of innovative branding and design to help differentiate themselves, Jacob said. Chieftain Supply Company and Chieftain Designs are now part of General Cannabis' portfolio of cannabis. Vertical integration makes Colorado a very unique market, he explained. We have true visionaries developing their product from seed to sale. Not only do the products deserve more than simply displayed behind a glass counter or in an oversized jar, customers now demand iconic and powerful designs, explained Colchin. The branding play makes sense. We have seen its power in other recreational product markets. Take the Starbucks approach to coffee, for example. Anyone can choose to grab a $1 cup from Joe in their local cafe or diner, but they don't. They choose to wait in line for the more expensive version. Logically and financially, it does not make sense. The only explanation as to why we do this is not a subject of rationality, but instead of psychological human behavior. We are all inspired by the experience, the smiles, the smells, and the feelings that it all provokes. We go to Starbucks because of the experience, and the consistency of what that experience is what keeps us returning. Going to a Starbucks to pay 900% more for a product that is widely available proves the power of branding and how much it impacts a recreational product market. This is the scenario playing out in the Colorado cannabis market right now, particularly in Denver. We see tons of cheap, high-quality product up and down the block. Business owners are fighting for foot traffic. Manufacturers are fighting for shelf space. Challenges with sales and marketing come with the territory, said Cullen. Retailers have a lot of options to deal with declining sales. For example, creating customer loyalty programs are one way to boost sales and to build a brand. All too often, we see many businesses take the low-hanging fruit by cutting prices for a quick fix. Too many retailers are going down that path before exploring their other options. The growing pains of this regional market are sure to present themselves in new developing markets like California, Nevada, and Massachusetts. It may not appear immediately, but with time it will. The wise business owners and municipalities are going to do their homework and follow the trends to prepare for their own regional success. Colorado has paved the way in so many positive instances, but right now many people are taking it on the chin, being the guinea pigs. If cannabis companies want to survive the consolidation that is currently happening in the Colorado market, they must build original and compelling brands that cultivate loyal customer bases, said Colchin. The U.S. Cannabis Spot Index has indicated some stabilization as predicted as the winter/holiday season is upon us. This may be short-lived as spring and summer return. Some analysts have predicted that the price of Colorado wholesale cannabis could continue to drop, with whispers of as low as $700 per pound being circulated. Wow. Okay. If the community does not get creative as a group and understands the implications of those prices, the last one standing will be a handful of giants who had the capital and foresight to wait out the storm, only to control most of the market and eventually raising the prices back to the margins that they choose through distribution. What will the results of the Colorado free market cannabis experience be? Diversity or big cannabis? That is up to the entire cannabis community to decide. They just put community, but I went ahead and that is up to the entire cannabis community to decide. Okay, and that is the end of that story. And I always like to go down and read the comments. Those are always, to me, the funniest things to read. But this only has one comment. All that dirty dope money and the cultivation of clean business and the poor, pure Wall Street banks are not part of it. Hooray, hooray for honest business right before mine very eyes. Good night, Wall Street. Sleep good without the banks. WS types, that is, the Wall Streets. We do not need their savior, the FDIC. No, we do not. No, I thought that was a pretty good article. Thought it was an interesting article. Yeah, so what do you think about that one? So I will post this one up on the Facebook page, Spreaker page, all those good pages, Twitter, all the pages that are relevant to 710 Radio, including on the 710 Radio Facebook page. All right, so let's move on. Now that I kind of talked about that, I think I was going to go do an Oregon one real quick, but I think I want to do... No, I am going to do this one story first before I do the Oregon and Florida one. This one comes out of medicalmarijuanainc.com. They're not telling me who the author is, so I can't give them credit. So all I can do is give medicalmarijuanainc.com credit. The article title is, "The Marijuana Job Market Could Double or Triple in the Years to Come. Analysts estimate that the legal marijuana market in the U.S. will create up to 300,000 new jobs in the coming years. The number of marijuana-related jobs could jump up another 150,000 to 300,000 in the years to come." I want to know what they think years to come mean. Okay, according to analyst estimates as reported by CNBC, the marijuana industry has already generated an estimated 100 to 150,000 jobs nationwide, according to the 2016 Marijuana Business Factbook. meaning that cannabis job markets have the potential of doubling or tripling in the coming years. It would make marijuana one of the fastest growing industries in the United States. The projections come as cannabis legalizations expand throughout the U.S. 8 states passed marijuana measures in the November election, bringing the number of medical and recreational marijuana to 28 and 8 respectively. Industry analysts from ArcView Group have estimated the industry worth $5.4 billion in 2015 will jump to $6.7 billion in 2016 and then surpass $20 billion by the year 2020. I'm going to add my little 2 cents in there. I think it's going to be it will surpass the $20 billion by well over 10 to 15 billion, if not more. So job opportunities within the cannabis industry extend beyond the hands-on positions of growing, processing, bud tending, testing, and product manufacturing. The industry also creates ancillary opportunities in the areas of consulting, legal, personnel, construction, marketing, office admin, software and technology, courier and delivery services, and security. Workers can make anywhere from $13 an hour for an entry-level position to more than 6 figures annually for key management roles. In Colorado, the first state to legalize recreational marijuana, the industry generated 14,209 jobs in 2014, and then another 18,000 jobs in 2015, according to a report from the Marijuana Policy Group. The report found that 12,591 jobs were created in 2015 were directly involved with marijuana businesses, and the remaining 5,414 positions were generated by ancillary services. In response to the blossoming million-dollar industry, new cannabis-focused schools and traditional colleges and universities are offering training courses and certificate programs. One such school is the Northeastern Institute of Cannabis in Natick, Massachusetts, which opened in 2014 and offers a 12-course program that teaches students about cannabis law, servicing patients, and marketing. Very interesting. Okay, well, I forgot to mention Cannabis University, which was incorporated in Colorado in 2008. And they've been covering, all in one day class marijuana law and growing cannabis since then. But anyways, I just thought I would add that in there. When you walk into a job interview, being able to say, I have trained myself on this, I have gone through a school and have a certificate that says I am competent in the cannabis industry, is definitely a leg up from somebody who doesn't have any background or formal experience in cannabis. Kara Crabb-Burnham, Dean of Faculty at NIC, told CNBC, with support for marijuana legalization at an all-time high, most entrepreneurs and advocates are optimistic about the future growth of the cannabis industry. Others are more cautious, however, due to the uncertainty of the incoming Trump administration. CNBC reports, although President-elect Donald Trump has voiced support for legalizing medicinal cannabis state by state, his stance on recreational legalization or interest in rescheduling cannabis has wavered several times. Plus, his pick for Attorney General Jeff Sessions, a historically staunch opponent to cannabis, suggests that the marijuana industry may feel some pushback. On one hand, you think it would take a lot of guts for him to come and dismantle the industry that is creating up to 150,000 jobs right now and is generating billions of dollars. Chris Walsh, the editorial director of the Marijuana Business Daily, told CNBC. The other side of that, it's hard to really know what Donald Trump wants are going to do. We just don't know. You can read the entire CNBC report here and keep up with the latest developments in the growing cannabis industry by regularly visiting our news feed at www.medicalmarijuanainc.com. Alrighty. I just thought that was an interesting article. I do believe they're being conservative on their numbers, which is good. It's always good to be conservative. But yeah, I have seen figures that exceed that $20 billion by the year 2020. But that's okay. That's 300,000 new jobs by then. There's nothing to scoff about. And right now, hell, we've already, it says 100 to 150,000 jobs nationwide according to the 2016. Man, that's nothing to scoff about. Job for those ancillary businesses. Because not everybody is going to be in the direct, growing, handling, sales of the actual marijuana. Those ancillary businesses can do quite well themselves. You just got to find your own little niche. Niche companies can do very well. All right. So let's go ahead and move on here. I'll go ahead and, of course, post that page up as well. Okay, so this next article comes out of weednews.co.co and is by Johnny Green. And the article title is Oregon Medical Marijuana Dispensaries are reminded that rec sales will end soon. So the state of Oregon has allowed limited recreational marijuana sales out of licensed medical marijuana dispensaries since October of 2015. It was a temporary solution while the state figured out how to regulate marijuana for adult use and issue licenses. The licensing process is dragging along, but that hasn't stopped the state of Oregon from sticking to the original plan of eliminating the temporary solution at the end of the year. Below is a press release from the Oregon Health Authority, which I will read here after this article and post it as well. The Oregon Health Authority is reminding all medical marijuana dispensaries in the state that sales of limited marijuana retail products to people 21 and older will end December 31st. The so-called early retail sales period began October 1st, 2015, after the passage of Oregon Senate Bill 460, starting January 1 of 2017. OHA registered dispensaries will be able to sell marijuana products only to Oregon Medical Marijuana Program registered patients and caregivers who present a valid OMMP card. Of 352 dispensaries in Oregon, 319 are participating in early retail sales. Adults 21 and older, not registered with OMMP as patients or caregivers, will be able to purchase marijuana items only from retail shops licensed by the Oregon Liquor Control Commission, OLCC, which is in parentheses, I guess. Let me see. It is crucial that dispensaries stop selling products to retail customers after December 31st, 2016, said Andre Arusso, manager of the Oregon Medical Marijuana Program at the OHA Public Health Division. This is a statutory requirement. Anyone caught selling to retail customers could face serious penalties. Dispensaries that want to continue selling both medical and retail marijuana need to become licensed by the OLCC. Those interested must go through OLCC's application process, and there is no automatic switchover that will occur. For more information on applying with OLCC, visit the Commission's website at http://marijuana.oregon.gov. A dispensary found selling to non-OMMP cardholders will be subject to civil penalties and could face having its registration suspended or revoked. Members of the OMMP's compliance staff will be in the field after January 1 to ensure that dispensaries are limiting sales to medical marijuana patients and cardholders. For more information, visit the OHA Medical Marijuana website. Let me see. Let me go back up here because this comes right off of Oregon.gov. And this is a OHA news release. So it does state that December 31st is the last day registered medical marijuana dispensaries can sell recreational products. The Oregon Health Authority is reminding all medical marijuana dispensaries in the state that sales of limited marijuana retail products to people 21 and older will end December 31st. Okay. I wanted to know. I wonder what the civil penalties are. I guess I'd have to go to them because it's this press release was exactly just what we read, so I'm not going to go through that. I guess I'll just post the story that has the link, and then you can go to it as you think. So if you're in Oregon, yeah, it looks like you guys are going to be able to start buying legal marijuana here come January 1. Congrats on that, guys. Hopefully you guys are going to get some good products. I'm going to have to come out there since Oregon is kind of my co-home state. You know, well, people may not know, but I was born in Washington, in Vancouver, Washington, and pretty much raised in Portland, Oregon. So, you know, really both cities are kind of my homes. So I'm always rooting for Oregon and Washington. So anyways, all right, our next story is coming out of the Sunshine State, Florida, and this is coming off of SunshineStateNews.com, and this is a story by Allison Nielsen. The article title is Florida Faces Obstacles and Uncertainty with Medical Marijuana Legalization. All right, medical marijuana supporters and activists are looking ahead to 2017 when medical pot will be expanded in Florida, but the full legalization and implementation of the drug may still be months away. I hate that they use the word drug. Patients who qualify for the drug should essentially be able to begin receiving their marijuana medications next week. The future of medical pot greatly expanded last month when 71% of the voters approved Amendment 2. And good for you, Florida. Man, congratulations on that 71%. Man, that put a smile on my face. So, the amendment says anyone who has one of the debilitating illnesses listed in the amendment language, like HIV and cancer, can begin receiving medical pot January 3rd. While the amendment language might seem straightforward, the state legislature and the Florida Department of Health still have 6 months to revise the current dispensing rules and have up to 9 months to implement those rules, which could throw a wrench into the state's newest prescription drug. State lawmakers ruled to allow on non-smokable, low-THC doses of medical marijuana during the 2014 legislative session, a provision which was expanded earlier this year to allow patients to receive higher doses of the drug. Distribution of the drug began during the summer. 7 dispensaries are currently authorized to dole out the drug in Florida. Medical marijuana is currently available in oils, drops, tinctures, and sprays, which cost around $30 to $300 for a 45-day supply. The road to dispensing medical marijuana is already full of roadblocks, particularly from cities and local governments trying to fight off the medical pot business. Cities and counties around the state have expressed fears over medical pot shops popping up in commercial zones, school zones, and though it is uncertain just how many dispensaries will be built statewide. Pasco and Manatee counties have both said they want bans on the drug, and other counties like Hillsborough already have a ban in place until April. Local governments are also cracking down on the drug. Panama City Beach officials have said they want an all-out ban of growing, cultivation, and dispensing of the drug for 8 months while the city and county staff studied the activities. Studied the activities, okay. Local officials said the so-called moratorium on medical marijuana activities would give local and state lawmakers the chance to sort out what the future of medical marijuana would look like in Florida. I suggest that we consider a moratorium on this until the state settles down on what their laws will be, and the county does the same, so we don't do something and have to undo it 3 or 4 times. Panama City Beach Councilman John Reichard told the News Herald. On top of local pushback, supporters of the drug are worried about federal pushback. President Obama's administration has deferred the legality of the drug to the states, but it's uncertain whether President-elect Donald Trump's administration would do the same. From a business perspective, it is predicted to be incredibly lucrative for the Sunshine State. A new Frontier Data and ArcView Market Research Industry report found Florida will make a whopping $1.6 billion in medical marijuana sales within the next 3 years. Florida's medical marijuana industry will grow by 140% by 2020. Florida has the potential to be one of the largest medical markets in the country, said New Frontier Data founder and CEO Giada DeCarcer. The state is home to the nation's largest percentage of people 65 and older, a demographic for whom chronic pain and catastrophic illnesses are a commonplace and expensive to treat. Amendment 2 gives this large patient pool access to legal cannabis as an alternative therapy to their diverse medical needs. Florida's legislative session begins in March. So you can, this is, like I said, an article by Allison Nielsen, and you can reach her at email Allison at sunshinestatenews.com or follow her on Twitter at Allison Nielsen, and that's Nielsen. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to this next one, and it's about Maine. Alright, so this next story is coming out of BangorDailyNews.com. It just says, by staff report special to BDN, which is the Bangor Daily News. The article is recount bid ends, clearing the way for legal marijuana in Maine. Augusta, Maine. The campaign that opposed a referendum seeking to legalize marijuana for recreational use in Maine abandoned its recount effort Saturday afternoon, clearing the way for Maine to become the latest state to allow use of the drug for non-medical purposes. The citizens-initiated legalization effort appeared as question 1 on the November 8th ballot. Unofficial results showed the question winning by less than 1 percentage point. The closest contest on the ballot that included 4 other citizen-initiated referendums and bond questions. That narrow margin prompted opponents of legalization, organized as Mainers Protecting Our Youth and Communities, to ask the Secretary of State to conduct a statewide recount. After a weeks-long process that required ballots from all over the state to be collected and delivered to Augusta, the recount began earlier this month. Ballot examination initially focused on precincts in the state's larger cities, with the second phase of the recount zeroing in on other selected precincts. The recount recessed Friday with no plans to resume in January of 2017. However, Mainers Protecting Our Youth and Communities formally requested Saturday that the Secretary of State office end the process. We promised folks that if we came to a point where we could not see any chance of reversing the result, we would not drag the process out. Newell Auger, legal counsel for No on One, said in a release, "We are satisfied that the count and the result are accurate." The No on One campaign said in its release that the vote margin had closed to less than 4,000 The Secretary of State's office had declined to discuss recount results while it was ongoing. Preliminary estimates from Secretary of State Matthew Dunlap pegged the cost of the statewide ballot question recount at approximately $500,000. However, the No on One campaign in its release Saturday suggested the estimated cost of the recount was much lower, roughly $15,000, with little or no overtime cost incurred by state police or the Secretary of State's office. Given the extraordinary close margin, and the recount was worthwhile and a necessary endeavor, Auger said. Ultimately, this is how democracy works, and we're proud to be a part of it. The next step in the legalization process is for Governor Paul LePage to send a proclamation to Dunlap affirming the validity of the election within 10 days after the Secretary of State certifies the results. The Maine Constitution states that the law spelled out by the referendum would take effect 30 days after the governor issues that proclamation. LePage, who opposed Question 1, said his administration would need roughly $5 million to create an infrastructure within the Department of Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry to manage retail sales of marijuana for recreational use by people 21 and older. The governor recently told radio show hosts that he would prefer to have the Bureau of Alcoholic Beverages and Lottery Operations oversee retail marijuana sales in Maine. Members of the incoming legislature also have suggested that they will examine the law to see if added safeguards are needed to ensure marijuana does not become available to people younger than 21. The federal government continues to classify marijuana as a prohibited substance, which also could provide problematic if the incoming administration of President-elect Donald Trump is more aggressive in enforcement than the Obama administration, which has avoided intervention in state legalization efforts. Maine becomes the second New England state after Massachusetts to legalize marijuana use for recreational purposes. The state has allowed medical marijuana since 1999. Well, good job. Glad you guys were able to see the light, and welcome to our side. And man, may you guys be blessed. All right. So this next article here that I'm going to talk about comes out of Pennsylvania. And this next story comes off of MPP.org, Marijuana Policy Project. And this is Department of Health announces application timeline. Pennsylvania patients moved one step closer to access on December 21st when Pennsylvania Health Department Secretary Karen Murphy announced applications for grower/processor and dispensary permits will become available on January 17th and are due on March 20th. The department will announce a first round of approvals, up to 12 growers/processor permits, and up to 27 dispensary permits in late June. A second round of permits will be issued at an undetermined later date. For purposes of medical marijuana licensing, the department has divided the state into 6 regions with a maximum of 2 grower/processor permits issued per region. Meanwhile, up to 27 permits will be issued in specific counties, and each dispensary permit is allowed 3 locations. The first location must be in the assigned county, but additional locations must be located elsewhere in the region. For more information, check out the temporary regulations for growers/processors and dispensaries. Laboratory regulations will be released on December 24th. Patient and doctor regulations are expected early next year. MPP is hosting a cannabis business seminar in Harrisburg on January 28th, where you can learn about the regulations and application process. And when I do post this article, you will be able to, for tickets and more information, please click here. So the specific counties where the 27 dispensaries are going to be, so 2 dispensary permits in regions. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to definitely post this up for you guys as well, so you guys can definitely check out the different regions, because this is pretty good size. So, and I'm not from Pennsylvania, so you guys would know by the look of this map how they're gonna divide it up. Tells you which counties, how many get one, how many counties get the permits and everything like that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'll post that as well. All right, so yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Welcome to medical marijuana, Pennsylvania. Hope you guys, people that are in need of it, get the medicine that they need. Hope you guys are able to rely on these dispensaries. Do you guys, I wonder if you guys, what your caregiver rules are there as well. Alright, well, I didn't realize you guys were that new in your guys' medical marijuana program. According to this article in the Cannabis.co, here's how the shiny new Pennsylvania medical marijuana program is shaping up. This is by Megan Trimble from the Associated Press. It has been 6 months since Governor Tom Wolf signed a law legalizing Pennsylvania medical marijuana, and already some seriously ill children have access to the drug. But qualifying adults won't be able to get medical marijuana until the program is fully in place in early 2018. By this fall, the state health department expects to publish temporary regulations for growers and processors, and by year's end for dispensaries, physicians, patients, caregivers, and laboratories. The state already has approved more than 50 applications for caregivers to bring medical marijuana into the state for sick children. The backdrop, a new law and a developing program. The law sets standards for tracking plants, certifying physicians, and licensing growers, dispensaries, and physicians. I'm thinking one of those meant to say caregivers, but patients will be able to take marijuana in pill, oil, vapor, ointment, or liquid form, but won't be able to legally obtain marijuana to smoke or grow. 25 states have comprehensive programs, and an additional 17 have laws that permit limited access to marijuana, according to the National Conference of State Legislatures. Leslie Boxer, a Nevada-based marijuana industry consultant, said Pennsylvania is on track to set the standard for comprehensive medical marijuana programs. Interesting. The timetable. The health department must license growers and processors, license dispensaries, register physician to prescribe the drug, and issue patient identification card. The state is developing applications for each step of the process, and the department expects to publish temporary regulations for growers and processors in the Pennsylvania Bulletin this fall. The department has requested public feedback on the program and plans to issue temporary regulations for dispensaries, physicians, patients, and caregivers and laboratories by the end of the year. The state has already issued temporary guidelines for caregivers to access medical marijuana for children and has approved more than 50 applications. Who qualifies for medical marijuana? Patients must have one of 17 serious medical conditions listed under the law to qualify for use, as well as to hold a medical marijuana identification card. Applications are not yet available for adult patients to buy out of state, but approved caregivers can apply to buy marijuana and bring it into Pennsylvania for children. Some states like Nevada provide out-of-state authorizations. The limited accelerated access is not overly common, but shows a compassionate but sensible approach to creating an efficient system, Boxer said. Where will it be grown and dispensed? Well, the law allows for up to 25 marijuana growers and processors, as well as up to 50 dispensaries that can have 3 locations each. States have launched programs with different licensing volumes, and Pennsylvania will likely evaluate its number of licenses after the market is established. The initial process will be competitive. Yes, it will. If it's anything like what it was here in Colorado, yeah, it's going to be competitive. All right, the state is trying to map out the demand for medical marijuana and the availability of public transportation to get patients to a dispensary. Well, that's cool. Licensing growers, dispensaries, and physicians. Physicians must register with the program and take a 4-hour course to qualify for licensing. Interesting. I don't think they have to do that here in Colorado. Growers and dispensaries must apply with the state, pay a permit fee, show a proof of capital, undergo a background check, and complete a 2-hour training course. The applications for each are expected to become available by the end of the year. Often, outside companies partner with an in-state stakeholder to apply for licenses and develop businesses, Broxer said. And that's the end of that article right there. Like I said, I like to read the comments. And she thinks it's absolutely ridiculous that an adult patient cannot get it now legally out of state. This is horrible. They initially said minors can get it 30 days after it was signed and adults 6 months later. Now adults have to wait till 2018? I agree. What are we supposed to do? Sit and watch our loved ones die? Why can't they pass legislation allowing adults to get it now if they have one approved in conditions, if they have one of the approved conditions and can prove it? Metal Bowie says, way too much government control. Precisely the reason all medical MJ states evolved into the correct stance of legalized adult use. Pennsylvanians are all waiting on a neighboring state like New Jersey, Delaware, Massachusetts, or Maryland to get legalized adult use, and we will just simply travel there for their needs. Well, yeah, so that's interesting. So, it sucks that you guys gotta wait till 2018 to get that. And they say early 2018. So what does that exactly mean? Does that mean it's going to January, February, March? Or is it going to be like April, May, June? Is that early? I don't know. Hope you guys get it a lot sooner than that. But let's go ahead and move on here, because I didn't have this article up until I started talking about the other article. So this one was kind of just a throw-in one there. But I will post this one up to all the pages as well. Alright, let's see, which one do I want to go? I will probably go with this one right here. This might be our last one. And this is coming out of weednews.co. This is by Radical Russ. And the article is, which states will legalize marijuana next? That's a good question. The 2016 election was a watershed year for marijuana reform, with 4 more states legalizing adult use, 3 more legalizing medical use. The Gallup poll shows 60% of Americans support legalization of marijuana, 89% support medical marijuana. We've had marijuana on the state ballot in every biennial election since 2010, as well as the odd year 2015 election. It seems reasonable to believe that the states will legalize marijuana in upcoming elections as well. So which states will legalize marijuana next? It's instructive to note that the states that pioneered medical marijuana legalization, all states that have the power of the citizen initiative, and that's important, citizen initiative. Not every state does. In fact, most states in the Midwest, South, and East Coast can only pass laws through their legislatures. The 8 states that have passed marijuana legalization so far are all initiative states, and coincidentally are states that voted Democratic in the 2016 presidential election. In reform circles, we call these the low-hanging fruit states, because they are strongly in support of marijuana legalization and have the initiative process to do something about it. Of the 28 states that now have medical marijuana, you can match up the initiative states pretty closely with the medical states that have access to the whole plant marijuana that patients can grow for themselves. As medical marijuana was taken up in states that don't have initiatives, the statutes become more restrictive in order to gain legislative votes. So, will that be the pattern henceforth for the legalization of marijuana in the non-initiative states? With conservative Arizona posting the only marijuana reform loss in the 2016 election, have we gone as far as we can with legalization by initiative? Here are the states I see on the horizon for marijuana reform by 2020. Alright, Arizona. The narrow loss for legalization in 2016 has activists there itching for another shot at the ballot. Medical marijuana reform may be up for a vote in 2018. Activists are likely to hold off on legalization push until 2020, given the conservative nature of the Arizona electorate. Idaho. Interesting. Activists in Idaho are committed to putting medical marijuana on the ballot, despite the state Senate voting 3 years ago that marijuana shall never be legalized for any reason. The state's highly conservative voting base makes deciding on 2018 or 2020 less important than most states. Okay. Less important than most states. I don't understand that one, but alright. Michigan. Activists in Michigan were kept from the 2016 ballot signature gathering requirements that spoiled thousands of signatures they collected. There's a strong support for legalization in Michigan, and the financial support and activist base are ready to go for 2018. Missouri. Hearts were broken in Missouri when their initiative for medical marijuana fell short by just 23 signatures from one district in St. Louis. Bummer. Whether they aim for 2018 or 2020 as their next attempt is dependent on the ability to raise funds for another run. Should they make another run at medical marijuana again? It's very likely the state will pass it. This next one, Oklahoma. Wow. The Sooner State could have been on the ballot with medical marijuana for 2016, except for missing some ballot printing deadlines. The initiative may be carried over to the 2018 election. Passage of medical marijuana in neighboring Arkansas bodes well for the chance of passage in Oklahoma. Interesting. Rhode Island. The legislature in Rhode Island has been considering their own legalization statute maybe as early as 2017 session. Activists there are ready to pressure the lawmakers in 2018. Texas. There is no initiative process in Texas, but a state senator has proposed both legalization and a medical marijuana constitutional amendment referral. Interesting. If 2/3 of both chambers of the legislature approve, the measures would be placed on the 2017 ballot for citizens to decide. Let's go Texas. Vermont. Liberal Vermont is the home to Bernie Sanders. Like Rhode Island, the legislature there has been examining the possibility of passing its own legalization measure. And then Wyoming to be the last one. Like North Dakota, only a few thousand signatures are necessary in Wyoming to put medical marijuana on the ballot. But polling is sparse in Wyoming, as it is in North Dakota, but passage of the latter state's medical marijuana by such a wide margin in 2016 makes a successful push for a 2018 or 2020 measure more probable. Okay, and then there's a couple of asterisks down here. Except for one district in Maine which assigns its electoral votes by congressional district, or 2 asterisks, every state except Delaware allows legislature to propose amendments to be referred to the voters. Very interesting. I would love to see each and every one of these states become legal. So, but anyways, that, guys, is about the end of my time, so I am going to be getting off of here, and I just want to thank you for joining me on this show, and we'll talk again on our next show. Until then, peace out, everybody.